morning, and thank you for joining Coffee and Convo, live with Artie and Chosen. Today's special guest, Frederick Sparkman. I know
Hey,
we like a little behind schedule today. Please don't get mad at us. All right, so today's topic is about communication 101. And we decided to run with this topic because every show we are speaking on building how communication is the fundamental basics to everything we deal with. Knowing ourselves and being able to communicate properly with the other individual. That includes, as Frederick and I spoke before, knowing when to shut up. That includes arguing properly, the right way. I feel like I'm missing another one here. I feel like I'm missing one. But while we're pondering on that, Chosen, can you give us a recap of last week's topic?
oh man, last week's topic, y'all. Hey, first and foremost, y'all, good morning, grand rising, and all that good stuff, man. Great salutations. So if y'all didn't tune in last week, we talked about how the world screwed up the view of marriage. And if you were there and you seen some of these triggers, they happen because for some it's a touchy subject. You know what I'm saying? And for some that haven't gone through them trials and tribulations to know what we was talking about, y'all just keep on living and keep doing what you're doing because I'm
Right?
pretty sure you're gonna come across them thorn bushes and them briar patches and all of that good stuff. But yeah, we talked about how the world screwed up the view of marriage and how we went from we had to use some our entertainment references on being able to see all these what you want to call them. You see all these fairy tale household
Right?
marriages and fairy tale marriages, and we talked about how people are ready for weddings, but they ain't ready
Yes.
for marriages, and the work that it takes to go into a marriage. And actually, today's subject also ties into that too, because in order to make any relationship work, you gotta have communication. So
Mm-hmm.
this is communication 101, and if you are tuning in right now, this might be some medicine for you, man. This might be a nice lesson. So class is in session. We
Classes
finna
in
get it
session.
popping. Hmm.
All right. So before we actually get started in that, there was a request for roughly a few minutes to speak their mind. Frederick, you still want that 5 minutes?
I don't know about 5 minutes, but I'll go ahead and take
All
it.
right.
Well, the whole thing is like when you were telling me that people were complaining because I guess to them it sounds like you were going off on me or whatever, and I got all quiet. Well, that's not exactly the way me and Rosalind, should I say, get down when we argue. I mean, the deal is I've been trying to get her triggered for I'd say what ever since we started doing this show, and she always keeps her cool. And I was looking for the one subject that would get her fired up, and that's exactly
Anytime.
what happened. But the thing is I didn't get quiet because she shamed me or she was being attitudinal or anything. The deal is the truth shuts me up. So as long as she's spitting the truth and she's emotional, I was happy with it.
Mm.
So don't take my silence as you cowering or anything like that, because Roslyn will tell you when we start shouting at each other, it doesn't matter to me if she's yelling. I
No,
could
it
care less. We
doesn't.
could go at it and we could So if
All
I
right.
got quiet, it's because she was telling the truth. All right, I'm done.
All right. So with that being said, communication 101. Understand who you're talking to. Understand your audience. 101. Know your audience. We can't handle each other the same as you would handle someone you've known 30 years. You can't handle someone you've known 2 years the way you would handle that person that you have history with. So know your audience. That would be the first thing. That would be the first thing I would say you would need to know. Chosen, how would you, what else would you consider a fundamental basics to communicating one-on-one?
I think we said this before on another subject, knowing how to listen. Listening and hearing is two different
Listening.
things.
Yeah, listening and hearing is
Yeah.
two different things.
Yeah, listening and hearing is two different things. And like you said, studying your the person you interacted with. One of the key things that I've learned, I was actually taught this, and I was actually taught this a long time ago. When I first heard this, I was like, oh shoot. So one of them concepts is don't listen for your chance to speak.
Yeah, don't listen to respond. There's a lot of issues with that. People always listen to respond.
Yeah, don't get in here listening for your chance to speak, because I think that is one of that's one of the ways that we get our communication misconstrued.
I just want to hear what you got to say, so when I have an in here where I can either find something real quick to shut you up or put you in your place. That's one of those. Yeah, he's shaking his head.
Either that or justification.
Justification.
Yeah, either that or justification. Like, you know, you quick to try to go to justification and not even tackle the matter at hand. You know, you remember when you was in school and they used to make you do these outlines? Like you'd have like one, then the topic, then underneath it it'd be like 1A, 2B, 1A, 1B, 1C, like that. You know, and you have to start learning how to communicate like that and start learning how to stay on topic. Then you'll have less mixed signals. You'll have less
staying on topic.
You'll have less mixed signals and stuff like that.
Let me jump in right here, because you know when
go ahead.
a couple starts to argue, you already know what sets you off, okay, and what the topic is supposed to be. But one or the other reach back to that old yesterday bag or a few months ago bag and pull something else and put up on that table, and now all of a sudden you got another topic on top of another topic, and that whole conversation, because you're not focusing, so nothing ever gets resolved. That's not arguing fairly.
That's trying to be right instead of actually arguing out the point.
Instead of trying to communicate and get things worked out, you're looking for a way to be right, a way to shut your partner up, a way to put one up over them. That's it. That's communicating improperly. Okay, Frederick, correct me if I'm wrong, but did you or did you not write something along these lines? Communicating.
Oh yeah, I went deep. Yes, I did, but don't ask me to pull it up. That would take some work. But the whole point of a conversation is that a conversation has a life of its own. And so when you're talking to somebody and they get all excited and they interject, you can't have one person trying to.
Okay, so
technical
difficulty
do
right
I keep
there.
Going?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, keep going. I'm right here. I know we having a couple hiccups with the
yeah, we have some
connection.
Technical issues. Still apologize for that. Right.
As I was saying.
As you were saying.
Okay, you can hear me now?
I'm still here. Yeah, I got you.
I can hear you, but it's like you completely died out.
The biggest thing about communication. Oh, really? This is gonna be one of those days.
It's like the connection
okay, well, you guys go ahead and take it because I'm having some issues.
All right, so Chosen, do you have any idea
y'all
who's running with that?
Okay, repeat that one last part because I could barely hear with all the chops and stuff going on with
Yeah, I mean, it was chopped up. It was chopped and screwed something serious. Okay, so
yes, indeed, it
communicating
was.
one-on-one. We already know to argue properly. We have to argue fairly. Talk about the topic that's on the table. Do not bring up old news from yesterday. Do not bring up other people into the conversation. They're not there. You know, they're about the two people that's met right then and there. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh man, yeah. Too successfully. Um, I mean, those are real good points to say to successfully have a
To
debate.
successfully
I don't like using
argue.
the word. I don't like to use the word argument. I use the word debate because when you have a debate, okay, I'm gonna tell you like this. I'm gonna tell you like this. Either one mature person, either two immature person or either two immature person, one mature
Mhm.
person and one immature person are gonna have an argument. Two mature people are gonna have a debate.
Conversation, I would
So
say.
whenever you get to the point to where you saying, yeah, so but see, when you come up with things where you can't, where you don't agree with, when you
Mm-hmm.
had, where you got to find a common ground, and I like to call that a debate. But when you have it to where it's like you got one person talking over the other, and the other person refuses to see the perspective of the other, and then you can't find and then you lose sight of the common goal, and you just want to see your side, then to me that's an argument because that's an immature mindset that 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 I don't really think too many grown people have. Like those are immature things. When you in the business of being grown, you kind of have to you kind of keep most
But when
grown
you're in
people
the
keep
business
sight
of being
of
grown,
the
you know
bigger
when to
picture
shut up. You
and
know how
the
to keep
end
a
game.
sight on
Yeah,
like you
you
saying,
start doing it.
knowing the
Hmm.
bigger picture. You
So you
know,
see how
only
you see, yeah,
I was about to say
Well,
only
you also
immature
got to
people.
remember.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
We also got to remember what.
Let me move over here. Let me move over here real quick and see if it's me.
Arguing is debating. You talking about fussing and fighting. That's a totally different thing. It's not my fault that most people don't pick up a dictionary. To argue means to put forth your point, just like a debate. Now you're talking about fussing and fighting. Now nobody likes to fuss and fight.
Mm-hmm.
But I love to argue or debate, if you want to say it that way. And that was one of the things that I
Yeah,
put down, was that I don't have to say things your way. As long as you understand that we're saying the same thing, deal with it, accept it.
mm-hmm.
I'm never going to be you. That's the whole point of a conversation or communicating, is to bring
Right.
forth understanding to the other person.
And that's what the ultimate goal should be. The ultimate goal should be is, okay, we going into this to repair or find common ground or see where we mesh at. That's supposed to be the whole part and parcel of any time you open your mouth. You know what I'm saying? So what you finna say?
Nah, that was a cool
I
thing.
can't
It's
even
just
hear.
logically
Yeah.
agreeing or disagreeing is fine.
Yeah, like it's okay to disagree. It's just at the end of the day, are we gonna, are we gonna come to common ground? Are we gonna, if we ain't gonna come to common ground, are we cool after everything that's been said? I mean, I mean, improper communication is
It's like
improper
it's almost
communication
like y'all don't realize.
is
It's almost like y'all are discussing having these arguments, debates, or whatever you want to call it, with a male. Think about the opposite sex here. Now you know doggone well when you're talking to a woman, it's not gonna be that easy. You
well,
know.
this is what I'm finna get at. This is what I'm finna get at. This is how like best friends, family members, and and etc. Platonic, whatever. Before you even get into like the romantic part, this is how
Mhm.
they fall out. How many times have you seen a best friend sit up and fall out over a misunderstanding? Like when they go over to, because a lot of people do this, when they go over to talk about how what this person did, somebody come to you talk about, well, we fell out because they came over here and they came over here and they didn't bring this dish, and then they said that they was gonna do this and this and this and that, and it's like you, the person that they talking to, you looking at it already like, okay, what you telling me is useless. So you mean to tell me a 15, 30-year friendship gone down the drain because something that y'all couldn't talk out over something small like that, and it's a miscommunication? See, the thing about it is when you start communicating, you got to start having them, you got to have those, sometimes when you're dealing with friends and family, man, you got to go to battle. Steel sharp steel. And if we can start learning how to communicate, then
Okay.
you'll stop, you'll stop losing those friendships and stop damaging them friendships over stuff that could easily be fixed with just one type of communication and two people being willing to listen.
That's an issue right there. People not
the other
being willing
person's
to
point
listen.
of view.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
People not being willing to listen. I'm not going for that because
brought up women. Hold on, let me. The reason why I brought up arguing or debating, however you want to put it, with women is because we are truly emotional, and we, for lack of a better word, are immature when it comes down to it in arguing. We really are, because it's not always about the topic at that point in time. It's about trying to hurt them. That's not a cop-out. That's not a cop-out. Like I said, we truly are immature when it comes down to it.
You being the feminist that you are you telling me that men are more superior communicators?
No. What I am saying is, talking to a woman where you would cut me off instead of listening, talking to a woman, it becomes more about hurting the other than it does really solving the issue. That's what I was saying. Now, and I'm talking about romantic.
So you're saying that all women are immature? Okay, so all women
when it come down to emotion, I can't say all women. I'm not all women. I'm not singing that song. I'm every woman. No, that's not me.
I'll say this because it's this is my observation. It's not, and it's not. Honestly, it's not really. Check it out. Honestly, it's not even fair anymore to say, well, women are so emotional. Now you got some real emotional dudes too. So now
yes, you do.
I will say that there's an imbalance, but it's almost not even. It's not even fair anymore to sit up there and it's not even fair no more for women to say, oh, well, women are emotional creatures.
We are.
Y'all can't use that no more, man. Just like we can't use, y'all. I mean, yes, but I'm saying that's not right now in today's age, really even coming up. The thing about it is we were always told that we can't do this as men. We can't do this. We don't do this and this. And now you're starting to really see. Now you're seeing more and more people talk about it. It's okay for you to do this. It's okay. Yeah. So that's another way that I think society already screwed up a lot of stuff too, because they were like, oh, a man ain't supposed to cry. But we cry daily and we cry just as much as y'all. And what I'm saying? We feel just as much as y'all. We were just taught to not wear them feelings on your shoulders. We was just taught to ignore it. We was just taught to let it roll off your shoulders. And then what happens? You get the product of the men that you're dealing with now. And so when you start thinking, and this is another part about communication, now we can get into the communication part of the romantic sense now. Okay. So when you and your man get into this argument, right? When you and your man get into this argument, and he has so much that he wants to say, but he doesn't say it because you know what? It's me putting my emotions all out here like this, and she ain't gonna care if I do say this, she gonna think I'm weak. She gonna leave anyway. So you don't say it. So what you could have said to save it, you don't say, because you were taught to leave that emotion out of that. But you got so many men out here too that's like, now when y'all argue with us, man, we hurt just as much. We lose sleep. I'm one of them. I'm gonna tell you straight up. I'm one of them. I have always been taught to be sensitive to a woman's needs. How am I gonna be sensitive to a woman's need when I'm taught not to be sensitive to my own emotions?
Well, hell, you didn't just spun communication 101 to a totally different light.
So it's like, but it's like communicating. So when you start breaking down them barriers and saying, you know what, you might find that one friend, you might find that one lover, you might find that one partner that you can say, hey, you know what, this time I'm tearing down all walls and I'm gonna let you in.
You would say the basis of
I
communication
see Frederick
101,
trying to
the
say
basic.
something.
Is it because I can't see? Okay. Do what? Okay, I don't know what's going on with your network system over
No,
there.
I was just saying.
But I want to say this.
See,
So,
look, man, we dropping too much. We dropping too much game right now. That's what's going on.
what you're trying to say is the
It's about to be
bottom
real
line,
good. That's
fundamental
what's
basis
going
of
on.
communicating 101 is to first shed all the BS that we grew up with, what a man is supposed to do and what a woman is supposed to do when it comes down to communicating emotions and all that other stuff.
It ain't necessarily it ain't.
Because if we're told men are supposed to cry and we see a man that cry, and there are women out there that feel that if a man cry, he weak. That is out there. And they'll talk about him. Oh, this BA crying, and I've heard it. But then when he don't show emotions, we end up feeling like
He don't care.
the nigga don't care. So
He don't care.
okay, he don't care. All right.
The N word.
Okay. Yeah. Huh? What did you
No, I just
say?
said, did you have to use the N word?
I'm sorry. You know what? I just went with what is being said out there. And that's what I hear. My apologies if I've offended anyone. I'm gonna sip my coffee.
It's out there. I mean, you put it out there. I ain't,
I know, but you're just messing with me right now. That's all it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the basics of communicating 101. Understanding your audience, understanding who you're talking to. One, for women not to tear a man down any more than he already is.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Okay.
The whole point of communicating
like I
is to be
said,
honest.
go ahead, Frederick.
Did he say the whole point
but the whole point of
communicating is to be honest?
Correct. Most arguments occur because people won't admit the truth. They won't express the truth. They won't admit the truth. They don't want to deal with the truth.
Interesting.
Which brings up this next point.
You can't have a good conversation when there's a lie.
Which brings up what next point, Chosen?
Which brings up this next point. And he furthered it too. Just said you can't have a good conversation, man. You're not gonna have a good relationship if you are too afraid to talk about them touchy subjects or to talk about or communicate on those issues. Addressing them red flags with people, starting asking certain questions. You know what I'm saying? With like I said, it goes hand in hand with a friendship. It goes hand in hand with a partnership. You can have business partners. They might be sitting up there bringing in the bread, and everything might be cool. And you got to know how they are on a personal level at some point in time. They're going to come up with questions. You can't be afraid to ask those questions and start those conversations because we're afraid of the outcome. You can't be afraid of that outcome because, hey, what if you ignore it and that outcome is deadly? What if that outcome is toxic? And it's like, this ain't what I want to deal with. I always say, when you communicate with somebody, I always like to say, give them the choice. Like, whatever vital information is needs to be had when you're dealing with people. Like, give them the choice. Like, say the stuff that needs to be said at that time.
So Melissa said you can agree to disagree. Now, I understand that a lot of people use this to squash an argument or whatnot. That's normally what's put out there to just avoid the topic. I don't really believe there's a such thing as agreeing to disagree. I really don't believe there is.
You want to know?
Explain
Okay,
that
really?
to me. Yeah, explain that
Simple,
to me.
because
I know you
when you
said a
have
lot,
two
but you
strong,
and we just don't talk about it. That's it.
well, the thing is, we're not going to agree, so there's no point in debating or arguing it out. No one is going to change the other person's mind. It's me accepting your stance, you accepting mine, and we move on to something else.
We just don't talk about
And
it.
to piggyback on that real quick, and look, and to piggyback on that real quick is this: when you say you agree to disagree, and it's not necessarily saying you just putting it to rest and we ain't gonna revisit it. You okay? You know how you hear a song and you jam into the song because number one you found out that you like the beat. Then you listen to the song again on another day, you like the melody, and then now you're starting to get used to the lyrics, and so you listen to the lyrics, and then maybe you didn't get the lyrics right then and there, but a couple of days pass by, you like, oh shoot, that's what they said. So agreeing to disagree is me disarming the fact that we make this whole a lot bigger. And if I know that I'm right about something, or if I feel like I'm right about something, and I can kind of see where you don't have time to catch up to it, or I see where you lacking in the understanding, I'm being a bigger person by shutting up and just saying, okay, we'll agree to disagree. Deep down inside, I know when you
That
revisit it, you
eventually.
process it in your thought
Okay.
process, and you come back, chances are you're gonna come back and be like, I want to talk about something. And then remember what we said the other day, and you'd be like, yeah, you said it, I didn't get it then. I get it now. And then now it's gonna be on me to
That's
be like,
exactly right.
I'm not gonna hit you with, I'm not gonna hit the type of person that I am or the type of person that you're dealing with. This right here is gonna determine where that friendship or that relationship turns, or how or how y'all communicate. If this person says after you come to them, I get it now, and they turn around and say, I told you so, and be vain or let the ego show, then it'll set you off. But if I know that
Yes.
for the betterment of the relationship or betterment of the communication aspect, when you tell me you get it, and I'm gonna look at you and be like, oh, okay, you get it now? All right, cool. Now we can put it to rest. But it wasn't put to
Okay.
rest like that to sit up here and say, shut up. I wanted you to learn. I wanted you to understand why I said we agree to disagree. So maybe you have this time to go back and you revisit after it processes in your head like that song.
Okay. See, I can
I
accept
like
that.
that.
I can accept it. Yeah, I can accept that explanation. I can really accept that. Because, like I said, because I know with men, with Frederick and I, when we say agree to disagree, that just means we're not going to talk about it no more. That's it.
Hmm. Nah, that ain't. Nah, that
No,
don't work.
it's
Nah, that don't
basically
work
what,
in the house of
it's
Joe.
basically what Joseph said. I'm
Yeah,
just waiting
yeah,
on you to
no.
grow up.
Nah, I won't come
Oh
to where
man.
you are with that. See, there are different things. We use it for things that we already know. Nah. But okay. So this, you made a statement of, uh, it's the one thing that will set people off. I told you so. That, I don't think that's fair play in
Hmm.
any argument. I don't. That I told you so. That's enough to like you said, set a person off. Now, from
Yeah, that's vain. That's ego.
as ego, Frederick, I'd like for you to address these scriptural wise. Now, I was reading the other night that our words are supposed to be, of course, and we talk about this a lot, to better people. They bring life, death, blessings, cursings. We're not supposed to be vain and with our words, tearing people down. We're supposed to be building them up. Now, that I told you so is not clearly spelled out in the scripture on not to use it, but it's there. When we say communicating one-on-one and how we're supposed to uplift the person, how would you say, as you put it, a debate should go scriptural wise?
Well, it depends on if you're talking to another child of God, then you point at the word. The word settles all arguments. So you don't
Okay.
really have
But
to have
we're
anything.
talking
You
about
find a
if not,
scripture that
but you already know, we already know children of God understand all that. We're talking about not talking to a child of God, someone who's aware
Man,
of
that's
all
simple.
of the wealth of information. You said that's
That's
simple. What would you do?
that's simple. That's simple.
What would you do?
You have to you have to explain it. You have to. It's the same way as teaching. It's the same way as teaching
I
anybody.
was
You have
told
to
I'm not
take
a
things of the world that they're
very good
used to, and then
teacher,
you
so
teach them like that.
I was told
This
I'm
is
not a
true.
very good teacher.
Now
So how
you
would you?
are. You just don't. Well, I mean, you just take. I mean, it's just like me. Look, that's just okay. If I needed to do that, but I know you don't read the Bible, but you watch a ton of Dragon Ball Z, I'm gonna teach you like that.
Okay,
Like
that's how
I'll
you.
use stuff like that. And I'm like, hey, well, remember when this happened? And remember this? This is exactly the same thing. You teach people. You learn what they are into, and then you teach people from there. So if I had a girlfriend and all she watched was love and hip hop, and I'm like, okay, I don't know how to communicate with her unless I figure out what it is she into. So I might not be into that, but if I know I want to try to communicate to these, I'm gonna have to go into them realms of their understanding and figure out how it is and study, do my research on them, and that way I
Some
can
of us
use the
don't
stuff
do
that
that.
they gravitate towards to teach
Some of
them.
us don't
And that's
do
it.
that.
Like that don't mean that you shouldn't learn. Yeah, some of us
Well,
don't do that, but that doesn't. But that's, I mean, it's a tactic. Tactics are there to accept or reject. How far would you ever heard the term? How far would you go for a friend? Like you see in
Yeah.
the movies, how far will you go?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? When you okay, for that, to save that friendship, to save that relationship, to save that partnership, the one thing you have to do is know how to communicate. Be with it verbally, be with it physically, your body, however it is. You know what I'm saying? You get to study that person, and the resources are there. It's just like a problem and a solution. When you ask for the solution to a problem, it's always given to you. But the thing about it is, a lot of people say, "Oh man, that solution take too much work." Next, "Oh, I don't like that solution." Next, the first solution was the right solution. But you didn't want to take that solution because it costs too much work. So whose fault is it then? So if I
Okay.
give you the resource, or if the resource is there and you don't take it, that's your fault.
All right. So let's
cool.
address the signs of knowing when to shut up. Who wants to take that one?
Oh, I'm gonna give somebody else a chance to talk because I know exactly how to do that.
Who
Well,
wants to
if you
come on, Frederick? Address that. The signs of knowing when to shut up.
well, if you know that you're having a conversation, it's getting a little heated, and no matter what you say, it's taken the wrong way, it's being taken the wrong way, then it's time to go ahead and shut up, because all you're gonna do is dig a bigger hole, make a greater rift. You can wait till both parties cool off and readdress the situation later.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like a
But if
major
you're not getting
sign.
through, there's no point in talking.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that sounds like a major sign of
It
knowing when to
is.
shut up. What other signs are there? Are there any other signs?
Are you
The
talking to
vibe.
me? Me?
The vibe. You're funny. You're
Okay, look,
funny.
look, look.
The vibe.
Personally, look. I mean, no, I'm gonna tell you what he mean. I'm gonna tell you what he mean by when he say the vibe. Everybody, okay. Let's say let's say you about to get laryngitis. Everybody know
Okay.
the symptoms of laryngitis. You know when you about to lose your voice, right? So
Mhm.
when you know you about to lose your voice, you feel a certain way. You feel this coming on or whatever. So what are you supposed to do? You supposed to, okay, I feel this coming on. Well, how do I stop it? I go and I do what I need to take. I go get this water, warm it up, drop a couple of drops of peppermint oil in it, and some lemon, some honey, or whatever it is. You do that. When you are when you in a situation where you feel like you need to sit up, you start feeling that. You start feeling, okay, you know what? I think it's my time. But now most people like to sit up and try to improvise, and they try to throw in words that might help them pull up before they crash and burn. And instead of listening to that thing about shutting up, they keep going, and ultimately they crash and burn. So when he means about the vibe, it's like there's something on the inside of you telling you, hey man, you need to stop while you ahead. But
Okay.
the word I like to use, the term but your ego driven stupidity is gonna cause you to mess this up.
Leroy
So why
says,
you
scripture
start
says
feeling that?
to restore gently and out of love. Okay. Did y'all
This
hear that? Should
I
I
like
repeat it?
that.
but
Okay, go
I
ahead,
like
Frederick.
that.
but if you can't get them to hear the truth, you can't restore Jack. So you got to get through. Sometimes for some people, in order to get through to them, you got to go to war. You got to go to battle before you can even think about restoring.
Before you think about restoration.
That's true.
Now, did you know the same thing? Okay. I'm gonna go Marvel real quick. You remember when? I don't think all of us have, but a majority of us have seen Captain America: Winter Soldier. You
Yes.
remember when? I think was it Robert Redford? Robert Redford was the guy that was when he was talking to Cap, and he told Cap he was trying to get Cap on board, and he was like, in order to save America or restore America, the old one had to be torn down. Like this, the same thing that you got to do in relationships too. Because sometimes you can get to think you have to be aware at where this relationship is, where is this partnership, where is this friendship. This right here needs to be renovated. In order to make renovations, you got to tear some stuff down so that you can build it back up. And so many people misconstrue that too, because I've had relationships and I've had people that would sit up and go through drag out fights with people, and they sit up and say, oh, it'll never be the same. It'll never be the same between them and between he and I or her and I. And the thing that they're missing is, no, the thing they're missing is, number one, yeah, you're right. It'll never be the same, but that does not mean that it can't be built up to be better. So at one point in time, you have to sit up and be like, you can't be afraid of the destruction. So just like Frederick said, you have battles, and the battles you can't. You gonna always have rain. You gonna always have sunshine. You rain with your sunshine, and vice versa. You have to be ready for that. And if it gets too and if it gets too bad to where it's like, okay, we need to come to a point where it's like, hey, this right here ain't working, but I
Okay.
want it to work,
just said it
and then the other
best.
person should be able to come and say,
What you say
all right, what happened?
right now?
I'm sorry.
Leroy said it best.
Read it comment.
Let me see if I can find out what reward. Let me see if I can find out what Leroy said.
When understanding has taken place, Leroy says you should leave the conversation alone when understanding has taken place.
Boom.
That's it. That was the agree to disagree.
But she was
Now
asking
you leave it
for
alone.
another way. Another way to
Shut up.
stop talking or shut
Yeah.
up. So yeah, that's boom right
Oh,
there.
that too. Yeah.
That's
I think those go
wanted to
hand in
know
hand.
those signs of when to stop talking, when to shut up. You leave the
Yeah.
conversation alone when understanding has been taking place. You leave the conversation alone when the vibe is when there's a negative vibe, when we're gonna say negative vibe.
Yeah.
Also when what was the first one that we said that you said, Frederick? What was the first one?
Okay, now you got me struggling.
When it's
I
heated.
don't have too many
I
things.
don't even remember what you said.
When it's heated. That's what you said. When it was heated, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it's heated.
Oh no.
Okay.
Well, when people take your advice and stuff like that, it's just like what he's saying. Once you see that they understand, you don't need to say anything else.
Yep. I
So
don't need to say nothing else.
Once that light bulb goes off, you're done.
Okay.
But now, the other time when you need to shut up is when you're hitting on it, and the conversation is going into the bad place. It's the other person's getting angry, the other person's being offended, and you're not getting through because an offended brother could be as unyielding as a fortified city. Once you offended them, you ain't going to get anywhere.
Interesting.
There's two ways that work too. There's two ways that work, but I'm gonna say that until you finish making this point.
Go right ahead.
Okay.
I already knew.
So the other part, So the other part of knowing what to set up is when you write, but you keep on beat. You see how the people be on the ground and they be just keep on beating them and keep kicking them and kicking them when they, when after you done already made your point. That's another way when you get to know when to shut up. Once you made your point and you know your point stuck, that's when it's time to shut the flock up. You know what I'm saying? Because you done already made your point, but you want to keep on rubbing it in. Again, it still goes back to ego. Leave ego out of it, man. Try to take the ego out of it for the betterment of yourself and the betterment of that relationship and the betterment of community and the betterment of a whole cohesive the whole communication part of your relationships.
Okay. And
Once
then
again,
when we're
be it
saying
friendship,
relationships,
partnership, or friend.
I
That's
was
what I'm
just
saying.
about to say.
Once again, friendship, partnership, or even romantic
Yeah.
sides of the relationship.
Because communication, the communication tactics do not change as far as who you're dealing with. It's just changes by knowing your audience, as I said. You're not going to be able to handle someone that you've known for 2 years the way you would handle someone you've known for 30 years.
That's right. It's different. It's a different paradigm. The thing about it is everybody's different. But how good of a I ain't gonna say commit. How good of a master of disguise are you? You know what I'm saying? Like how good of a master of disguise are you? How good are you at assimilating or referencing either certain people's euphemisms, the words they use, the words they use, their terminology, and even from them being from another. I mean, even from them being from another state, another city. A lot of those things you have to keep you have to keep in at the tip of your head, like, for lack of a better word. You have to keep in mind. A lot of those things you have to keep in mind because even when you talking to people with slang, some things that might mean something here might mean something to somebody else different. So you have to learn how to. So learning how to communicate with people from different areas. I mean, that's key. It's all about listening, and it's all about asking them questions. So that's a big part of it as well.
Goes back to what you said earlier. Listening and hearing are two different things.
Listening and hearing the two. When when you don't know, that's when you're supposed to ask. A lot of relationships suffer because of assumption.
Interesting. Well,
because of assumption, you're gonna mess this up.
That is the case. Assuming a lot. That's it's assuming and overthinking. I'm gonna say assuming and overthinking because that you don't know, you try to assume or you try to fit in or figure out what the other person is going to say. Do what? Technical difficulties again. All right.
Yeah, the connection want to act up with us, man.
I don't know what it is today. Okay, so I want to say here, we've already covered knowing when to shut up. We've covered listening and hearing being two different things, uplifting one another verbally. That's what communicating should be about anyway. Frederick, are your technical issues worked out so you can go ahead and I hear him talking, but I don't see nothing.
Yeah, it's the connection to the video. That's the thing. See, I told you, man. This one is a little real, so it's that interference ain't just coincidence, man.
Goodness gracious me! All right, so we have 8 minutes. In this 8 minutes, I want us to go ahead and hit these bullet points. Go ahead and hit these bullet points of communicating one-on-one. I want Frederick so bad to touch on this, but that technical difficulty, I don't know when it's going to break up. So, Chosen, can you go ahead and give us these bullet points so we can wrap up?
Yeah, man. So, knowing when to shut your pie hole, man, and knowing when, and knowing, studying the person that you're dealing with, man. For one thing, everybody that you deal with is in your life for a reason, and steel sharpens steel. So y'all supposed to be working each other to make each other better, and you gotta know what is in the midst, what is the interference between y'all Because like I said before, so many relationships um, fall apart because of poor communication.
Mhm.
It's, did you really mean this? I didn't understand what you said when you said that. Did you really mean what you said? Like, I really want to understand what you meant when you said, okay, most people say stuff like, I deserve better. Okay.
Mm.
So when you first hear I deserve better, the first impulse most people usually go to is, I deserve better from someone else. So what you
Mm-hmm.
want to say, so if you just say that and leave it at that, then that person is already going to assume that you say better from someone else. Then those actions, the seed that plants in is, okay, well, you really don't care. I'm going to do X, Y, Z because, and here comes more chaos versus you asking that question. I want to go back to that. What did you mean when you say you deserve better? If you take the time out to say, when I said I deserve better, I mean I deserve better from you. Now, if you sit up there and you say that, that's going to take away that uncertainty of what that person's feeling. It's like, okay, if I deserve better from you, and if you know deep down that you can give better, it's going to coerce you to give better. But it's all about communication. It's all about telling people what it is that you think that they might not want to hear, and, putting it out there.
Okay.
You just never know.
So again,
That one thing that might be painful
this
be the
goes
one
back
thing
to the,
save.
so
Yeah.
again, this goes back to the first thing that was said. Argument starts because nobody wants to speak the truth, or how did you say it, Frederick?
Now that's fussing and
They're avoiding the
fighting.
truth or fussing and
Yeah.
Yeah.
fighting. Okay. All right. So basically, be honest, choose your words wisely, know who you're talking to, listen for better communication, not just for justification. Anything
And
else? What did
not
I
just for
miss?
you, and not just for you, and don't listen for you. Stop listening for your chance to talk. That's like, and really, to tell the truth, in all honesty, that's like whenever you learn. That's a quick way to for you to learn when you need to be quiet. Because when you listening just for your chance to talk, that means somewhere while they were talking, they said
You wasn't
something
listening.
that either you didn't agree with, or they just said something that you either didn't agree with, or something that struck a nerve. So when you
Mm-hmm.
hit that point when they struck a nerve, they stopped listening. You kept talking, but they stopped listening because now they're like, okay, as soon as this person stopped talking, I'm about to tell them what this is. I'm gonna drag this back. So while they're talking and telling you why this happened, you already cut off. So you didn't hear. You probably missed the whole resolve. You probably missed the whole solution of what
So
it was because you were waiting for your chance to talk.
yeah, see, that goes back to staying on topic. That really goes back to staying
Remember
on
that
topic.
outline?
Because people bringing up stuff from way back when are getting caught up in their emotions and not focusing on what's being discussed. Because at that point, now
Hmm.
you in your feelings and all you care about are your feelings when it has nothing to do with your feelings.
Your feelings. It ain't got nothing to do with your feelings. But
Interesting.
you took it that way.
Exactly.
It's all. I mean, it's simple. Like I said, it's simple. But it's simple. But as these humans do, these humans make they what's supposed to be simplistic, they make it difficult. People say they love the
Oh well.
truth, but they scared to get hurt. You don't like going to the dentist, but you know you got to get that root canal done, or you won't be able to eat. I mean,
Oh, are
that's
people
it.
like choosing they're able to give it to someone else, but they don't want to take it themselves? Okay, so we have Marcus Scott says, from my experience, the more comfortable a person is with you, the harder it is to resolve conflict. It is great in theory, your talking points, but most people are self-serving in their disputes. That is why most people seek outside examples as mothers. Hold on. As mothers, brothers, fathers, and
And
sisters. That
sisters,
individual doesn't know them and they can't use their history with one another to judge one another. Okay, so he
man.
has, from my
That's
experience, the
just
more
saying that
comfortable
most
a
people
person
are liars.
is to resolve conflict. In his experience, he's saying. So, okay. I wanna take this one by one because he's mentioned a number of things here. Now, in his experience, he's saying that he's had, I'm guessing it's been harder to resolve conflict for because of how comfortable these people are with him. But I would say that's not most cases out here. Chosen, you and I have known each other, what, 30
years.
years?
30 plus.
And yeah, and when we have conflict, we get it resolved. I mean, it gets easier. You know, it gets easier the longer you've known a person, the more comfortable you're with them. In my experiences.
Yeah, I mean, because I mean it's how much XP or experience points you have racked up with that person. You can be around a person 30 years, and if you don't communicate with them properly, then it can be like, okay, we never talk. But if you sit up and you talk to those people and you talk to that person, so like Marcus, when you said from his experience, which I can't dispute because that's your experience, my experience, the more comfortable a person is with you, the harder it is to resolve a conflict. I can kind of see how that is, but at the same time, I can kind of see how it would be easy because if you know me and I operate, which I hadn't done in a long time because I didn't understand this concept. The concept that I learned was the I'd much rather tell you ugly truth than let you believe a beautiful lie. And that goes into,
Cool.
I would much rather you be mad at me. I would much rather you be mad at me for a little bit because I told you the truth, or rather than you hate me for the rest of my life because I lied to you and you found out the truth from somebody else. Because then I lose all my honor. And then I lose you as a friend, and then later on down in my social resume is tarnished because don't mess with him because he gonna lie to you. And then some people feel like lying to people or bending the truth is shielding them from certain things. How you know you're not shielding them from something that they need to be faced with? What?
Okay. So he's in agreement.
No, you know I hate liars.
Yeah, he's in agreement.
Yeah. So
Then
it's like,
hold on, but then he has, it is great in theory, the talking points, but most people are self-serving in their disputes. I'm not taking away from that. That's what that is absolutely true. People are self-serving in their disputes, and that's why we have these talking points on how to speak, communicate one-on-one properly. And then Lady says that is why most people seek outside examples. Okay, that individual doesn't know them and they can't use their history with one another to judge one another. And I get that too. That's why most people talk to people. It's easier to talk to strangers than it is to talk to your family because they don't already have a preconceived idea of you and the situation. I understand that. So it looks as though we might have to do communication 102.
yeah, man. Yep.
Okay, so that's our time. Thank you for joining Coffee and Convo. I hope you got something out of today's show. Join us next Sunday. We may pick back up on this and expand a little more on knowing when to shut up. Have a good day.
Take care.